bold scientist on the cutting edge of research of xenomorphs. Will anybody understand the reasons for his research? Will anybody get in his way, and to what lengths will he go to make sure that they do not?
Oh, he's real bad.
Hi there, everybody. It's me, Double A, and I got another bushel of bananas here for you. This one's a goodie. It's part of a new series I'm starting called Back to Back Issues. You get it? A lot of people have been talking about back issues. People are filling up their comic boxes with all sorts of goodies from the 80s, 90s, and farther back. So I thought I'd dig through some of my own back issues, some of my oldies. I remember the first time I read this was at a friend's house. He had a lot of cool alien merchandise. You know, like he had those weird variants, like the flying alien, like the rhino and the scorpion. Anyway, yeah, he let me read one of these, and keep in mind, I grew up in a household where we didn't watch like Power Rangers or He-Man because that stuff was too violent. So to get my hands on this was like, wow, it was amazing. I really liked it. So I bought the 4 issues. This is a limited series of 4 about 3 years ago, because until then I'd only read it once at my friend's house and then a couple times digitally. And man, it did not disappoint. It was really good. So I thought I'd do a review. Didn't know if you'd all had heard about this, but then I did a quick search online and found out everybody's heard about this. In fact, you know what? I did a little bit of research. Jim Woodring, it sounded like he had a really tortured childhood. Like hallucinations of people trying to kill him in his sleep, including his parents, which explains a lot of the storytelling choices that he made in this book. Yeah. Killian Plunkett. I was like, where did I hear that before? It sounded familiar. And I looked him up. Oh my gosh, he worked on Red Sun, and he's like well respected in the industry. I was thinking like Killian Plunkett definitely sounds like a Star Wars character. And well, you know, Killian Plunkett worked on Star Wars, Clone Wars, that little animated show, like character design. And I think he did the Bad Batch too. I don't know, but like he's all over the place. So then I open up the comic, and what do I find? I got Matt Hollingsworth on the colors. Matt Hollingsworth does all sorts of stuff. I mean, he's worked on a lot of the books I like. He did most recently, I mean, not most recently, but in most recent memory, he did Batman White Knight, the colors for Batman White Knight. He also did the colors for The Wake, which is a book I really, really like. So, I mean, this was a trip. I thought I was going to review some obscure little thingamabob, but no, that's very much not the case. So in this story, we got this guy called Colonel Dr. Crespi, and he wakes up from his hyperchamber sleep, and he's being sent to this little floating cube here called the Innominata. And, you know, we slowly learn what the Innominata is about. Basically, they're running these experiments, and crew members from all over the place have these ugly rumors that they hear about the Innominata, like about how the crew members there are considered expendable and used in clandestine experiments. And, you know, Dr. Crespi is not having any of it. He's very, like, straight-laced, kind of by-the-facts sort of guy. I'll see it, you know, I'll believe it when I see it, is the sort of guy he is. I really love the way that these characters are drawn. They're so distinctive, everything from their hairstyle to their face shape to the kind of expressions they make. You know, he's joshing around with more of the crew. This is the lady who's going to go with him. So he meets up with an admiral aboard the Innominata and starts talking about how he wants to meet up with Dr. Church. And the admiral's just not having it. He's like, yeah, Dr. Church doesn't want anybody working with him. Sorry. So you see here that repeatedly Dr. Crespi has to tell the Admiral that he'd like to work with Dr. Church. Admiral's like, yeah, you don't want to do that. Crespi keeps coming back until eventually the Admiral's like, yeah, you know what? No, not going to do it. Look at these expressions. These are great. Crespi's having none of it. Like I said, just very straight-laced. I'm here on official orders to work with Dr. Church. Please let me work with Dr. Church. So, get a look at Dr. Church. And he's crazy. Sorry. So we get a look at Dr. Church. And he's kind of nuts. So what Dr. Church has been doing, in short, is he's been running these experiments on the Xenomorphs. He has a few in captivity, and he uses things like electroshock treatment to basically stimulate them out of hibernation, because if they remain by themselves in isolation for too long, they basically become dormant. This book really does a lot to expand the lore of aliens, which I love. I feel like once Fox kind of put the kibosh on, all these great stories coming out, and they said, oh, it kind of has to follow our rule book. Like, it has to, fall in line with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, because we have to sell tickets and nothing out of continuity. It didn't allow for these great little experiments in comics. I mean, these were fun. The Dark Horse era with aliens was fun. There was funky stuff that, will probably never be tried again. So he runs the alien into a maze and conducts several experiments on it, like pitting the alien against an armed man. This whole time, he's trying to test Crespi himself. He's asking Crespi, what do you think the alien's going to do? And time after time, Crespi's wrong. The alien basically, it goes after threats, which would be armed people. It will decide to kill, maim, and eat over escape. So it's got this pig scream. Just imagine 8-year-old me seeing this. I'm like, whoa! Oh, the poor piggy. So Church is very excited. At first he was kind of apprehensive about showing Dr. Crespi all of this info. But, by this point, he's told him half of what he's done. He said, out of the hundreds of similar tests I've run on dozens of aliens, there has never been a single deviation from this rule. Hundreds of tests, dozens of aliens. What you're telling me is tantamount to a confession, Church. And they just let that line sit and breathe for a panel. Look at the way these two men look at each other. You understand that there will be conflict going forward. There has to be. These two men can't exist in the same world. They can't live in the same floating construct for too long. Dr. Crespi goes on to say, but let's overlook that for the time being. You've determined some extremely simple behavior patterns. What is the point of so much repeat experimentation? And, you'll see that. Just love that he lets a line breathe, Open panel. Crespi's kind of willing to overlook that just to get some answers out of Church. He just wants some answers. What Church goes on to do next is he gives these guys this drug. He gives one guy a drug. Fitter, right? And it's a telepathine that induces a sense of invulnerability and increased mental strength. This guy basically stares down the alien and it flinches. And that's really cool. That's a nice little bit of lore that was never in any of the movies and probably never intended, but it's fun. This comic book is fun. It's got legs, man. It'll go. And let me tell you, for 4 issues, it's freaking incredible, right? I won't spoil much else in here because there's stuff that gets kind of into the thicker story of it all. But this is definitely worth a read. What we'll do now is we'll look back at these awesome advertisements here. Got some Frankenstein, some Dracula. Ooh, look at that! It's Pitt! Sweet! That's pretty dope. Right? Look at this, back when people made good comics. Warhammer, all right. This, I don't know, this feels like a mismatch. I'm sorry. It's Terminator every time. I think, like, a mismatch made in hell. That's what this is. RoboCop, I'm sorry, I love RoboCop, but this, no. And then, oh my gosh. Look at this. Got the Doorman cover. Oh, beautiful. I still haven't read Dark Empire, and I hear nothing but good stuff. Got some other books. Not a Turkey in the Bunch. Love it. Look at this. Alien Salvation is another one of my favorites. Mike Mignola. It's a great little like self-contained story. It's literally like an island story, but the island is a planet. It's really cool. Just a great little story. So yeah, what you just saw were a bunch of ads for new comics. You know, nothing trying to sell you Snickers, saying that like, oh, you know, Wonder Woman, you're such a terror when you're not hungry. You know, nothing in here telling you to stay 6 feet apart. Good times. Well, anyway, statistically, you guys probably already heard about this book. But I do hope that you buy it. I found collections of all 4 books for like $12, considering that these were $2.50 at launch. That's pretty awesome, except for Canada. How must it feel every time, Canada, you look at the back of a book and you find like the US has got it like 70 cents cheaper again. That's got to suck. Anyway, yeah, you can buy all 4 for like $12 on eBay. You can buy the trade for like 18. It's worth a read. It gets really crazy. Like I said, Jim Woodring, it sounds like he kind of suffered as a child, and he put that suffering in this book. It gets real dark. It gets so dark. And this guy's a real pill. But anyway, yeah, like, subscribe, share the video if you can, and, you know, keep the good vibes going. Adios.